6/2 première, 6/2.
Could you tell us about your experience of seeing Pather Panchali for the first time? Because at the time you thought that Bengali cinema wasn't worth thinking about, and theater was the supreme thing. Seeing Pather Panchali absolutely changed your views, were your words.
Yes. Well, we were students at that time. I was studying for my master's degree, and we saw this film, Pather Panchali. We knew that someone was making a film on this classic novel of Vibhutibhushan. And this novel also was a part of, our growing up. Most of Bengali boys, particularly us who came from outside Calcutta and started living in Calcutta, we felt like Apur and thought like Apur, with a lot of dreams and romanticism and unpractical attitude towards life. So we were all interested how this novel is going to be made onto a film. And when we saw the film, its impact was so great because we have seen nothing like that in Indian cinema before, with its raw, vital realism, with its authenticity of human behavior, and the strength of projecting human situation, which the real human situation. But because previous to that, Indian cinema never offered a glimpse into real Indian life. So that's what really impressed us, and not only impressed us, I was so overwhelmed with the film. We kept on seeing the film over and over again, and we knew that Indian cinema will never be the same again. And as you know, I didn't think much of Bengali cinema before this Pather Panchali, and always thought theatre would be an ideal place for me to work as an actor. But after Pather Panchali, Mr. Ray was planning to make the second part of the trilogy, Apur Sansar, and he was looking for someone to play Apur. And when I was contacted by one of his scouts, I readily agreed because I just said to him that, well, I don't mind acting in the film if it is by Satyajit Ray because I have seen Pather Panchali. And later on also, when I really came to work with Mr. Ray, I found out that my approach to film acting or whatever it is has already been formed largely by watching Mr. Ray's earlier two films, 2 or 3 films that he has made up to that time. So in that way also, it must have influenced me, its acting style, its way human beings behave on the screen. Must have influenced me a lot. And well, I also remember another thing, that there was a reception held in honor of Mr. Ray and his technicians and artists in the University of Calcutta. There, in the Senate Hall, he was accorded a reception, and there is where I first saw him in person. That also again was very worth remembering because he was so impressive in his presence and also in his manners. And there were a lot of people who were praising this film Pather Panchali for going out of the way and ignoring the box office. But when he was asked to reply after the reception, he just said that no one likes his film to be seen by a few, and I always wanted my film to be a box office hit. But all I can say about this is that my notion about box office was different from other people.
the strength of the film, the word of Apu, also derived from the perfect cast. Ray introduced two of his favorite characters, Sharmila Tagore and yourself. Could you explain the context in which everything took place? We know it's a well-known story, but could you please tell us how you were chosen by Ray to play Apu in the third part?
Well, as I said, that when he was looking for someone to play the role of Apu in the second part of the trilogy, the adolescent Apu, I was approached by one of his assistant directors, and I agreed to see him. I went to Mr. Ray's house, and as soon as I entered the room, he just exclaimed, "Oh, you are too tall." You are too tall." And even before we were formally introduced, then he said, "Please sit down," and we started talking. And he went on asking me questions about various things, what I do, what is my hobby, what are the films and theatres that I like, that kind of thing. I found out later that this was his usual way of sort of assessing someone, whether he speaks normally or he has a good diction or a good voice or things like that. Anyway, I wasn't selected for that film because I was found a little too grown up for that role. I took some of my friends to him in case he likes any one of them, but he didn't like them either. Later on, when he made up his mind to make the third part of the trilogy, he again got in touch with me. He sent some messenger in my house, and they came and said that Mr. Ray wants to see you because he wants to make a film with you. I didn't quite take it seriously because I thought that, well, why should he need me anymore? I mean, I didn't take it. But when I went to see him, he just looked at me again, and before this meeting, I had an attack of chicken pox. So I went, as soon as I entered the room, he said, "Oh, some people said that you have too many pock marks on your face. I don't find it there, it's all right. Oh, come and sit down." Because he was so preoccupied with his work. And so the moment he saw me, he was looking at my face, whether I have got too many marks now and things like that. He was thinking about his work only. And that was really very nice to know. The man is so absorbed in his and then he told me that, "Are you still interested in films?" I said, "Yes, if you need me. Normally I'm not interested in the film career." And he said, "Yes, maybe I will need you in my next film. I am going to make the third part of the trilogy. But before which I will take a camera test of yours and also audition of your voice." So I said, "Okay, fine." Then he sort of, it all started like that. He asked me to come again, and I started going to him almost once or twice a week, every week. And he'd ask me various questions about my likes and dislikes and things like that. And then he made the first draft of the script, and only after that he took a camera test of mine. Later on I came to understand or realize, as a hindsight, that he did not take a camera test of mine for his benefit anyway. It was for me, so that I feel free and relaxed in front of the camera. I don't feel frightened in front of the camera. I don't feel self-conscious. So for my benefit during this camera test, when he has already selected me as his adult Apu, and then it all started, and he started grooming me too. But I must say that I didn't quite realize that at that time, because he used to say that, have you seen such and such film? And he asked me, I said, no, well, that film is on the Sunday morning show. You come, we will go together and see, like say, Lost Weekend, who right there. So I said, that is the film very good? He said, yes, you must see it since you are going to take up cinema acting. It's one of the best pieces of cinema acting that I have seen. So you take me to such films to see. He would ask me if I had a copy of some author who has written something about acting or theatre or cinema. If I had it, I would say that, or if I didn't have it, he would lend his own copy to me to read. And then he gave me quite a long sort of a commentary on Apur's character, written in his own handwriting. And I also did some kind of homework myself of my own. I wrote a complete subtext of that first draft of the script, meaning that I was in a form of a diary. I was trying to write what this character Apur was doing when he is not on the screen, and so that I can form a whole image of the character, whole image of Apur in my own mind. And it's very strange that he could have laughed at it, he could have sort of ignored it, but he didn't. He encouraged me to do so, and even sometimes would participate in that play acting sort of a thing, and he'd say that, well, you have written this, but Apur could have done this also during this absence. So that's how he's kind of was shaping me for the cinema.
Do you remember the first days of shooting?
Very first day of shooting, I still remember it. It's very strong in my memory. That was a day in August, 9th of August. The first shooting was at a location where Apur has gone for looking for some job in a leveling and bottling factory. And the manager in charge whom he approaches asked Apur to have a look at the factory itself and decide if he's keen to do that. So Apur goes inside and sees machine-like people doing their work, and he just shudders at the thought of becoming one like them and comes away. That was the very first thing I did for the film. Must have been that Mr. Ray thought that something lighter or not so heavy should be there for the first day, otherwise I might feel overburdened. But that was the scene I did, and I also remember that all the takes were only single takes. There wasn't a retake or an NG or anything. And one instruction, I remember that he just said that when you look at those people working, you shudder, but don't do anything else. You just swallow kind of, so I did that. That I remember he asked me to do.
Could you describe about your collaboration with Sharmila Tagore, who was so incredibly young at the time?
Yeah, she was very young. She was about 14 or so. Well, I first met her probably at Mr. Ray's house. But it was not that we sort of became friends instantaneously, no. In those days, people were shy in these matters. When we started working together, then very gradually and slowly a kind of understanding and friendship developed between myself and Sharmila. And she used to come to the set with her parents. And so when there was no shot being taken, we would sit down together and talk. And Sharmila's parents knew my parents too, so that helped a little to kind of becoming closer. And she was very spontaneous, and she was never trained for acting profession previous to that, prior to that, and but her spontaneity was really remarkable. And what I feel like her screen presence is tremendous. Whenever there is a close-up of Sharmila, it completely fills the whole of the screen. And then of course we have remained friends for the last 40 years, which alone should speak how close this friendship is.
Could you speak about this?
Yes. Well, this friendship also says that when we joined film, this the whole atmosphere and the situation was a little different. Today we find young people, they are coming here working, but they are hardly really friendly to each other. It's just all the interaction is from outside. But in our days, not only Sharmila, the other actors and actresses, all of us, we sort of, when we worked in a film, it became like a family. The technicians, for instance, Mr. Ray's cameraman, Soumitra, or for that matter, many others we just became a part of a family. Of course, I think Mr. Ray was partly responsible for that, because he used to treat his actors and actresses particularly as almost like a father. He was very protective about them and would treat them so generously, so sympathetically, that an actor wouldn't feel conscious or afraid, or he would feel relaxed, and that is the way he used to extract the best performance from his performers. So that helped in forging a good relationship between the actors also. So I don't know how many films I have done with Sharmila. With Soumitra Chatterjee alone, it should be many, quite a number of them. And outside Soumitra Chatterjee, also I have acted in quite a number of films with Sharmila. Although she is almost retired now from film, she doesn't work in films anymore, but we are in touch occasionally, and whenever she comes to Calcutta, we get in touch, or I go to Delhi. She is a wonderful friend.